So after taking this quadcopter out of the box, the Turnigy SK450, and trying to give it a fly, yeah, wasn't really impressed with it at all. It flew, so fair enough, yeah, you can fly it out of the box, but if you've ever flown a quadcopter before, this thing's just going to fly like absolute crap to you. So I thought the first thing I'd try to do was tuning the gains on the KK2 board. Didn't really help. I mean, I got it to a point where it'd fly, but I didn't have any control, and if I turned the gains up any further, it'd just oscillate. So what I actually did was I took the KK2 board off this and actually put my KK 2.1 board onto it. Just because it's got, you know, newer firmware on it, the auto level works a bit better. So just stuck the old KK2 board on my mini quad, and update the firmware on that later. But the next thing I thought I'd do is actually flash the ESCs. Now, these are Multistar ESCs, which are apparently actually good for multirotors, but from what I've seen so far and what other people have said, they're not. So I don't really get what the marketing point of these was, because obviously they're still not that great for multirotors. And I thought I've flashed one of them here. Unfortunately, they don't have programming pads on them, so you're going to have to solder directly to the chip or use the flashing tool. I've just been using an Arduino to flash it, so just got some wires of solder on there. That works fine. So yeah, I've got a flashed one here, and I've got an unflashed one here, both hooked up. Well, not at the same time, but what I'll do is I've got this motor hooked up now. So this is a stock ESC, so if we grab our little control here, I've got it just connected straight to the receiver, into the throttle, and as you can see, if I put the stick up, the motor goes. The first thing you'll notice is that well, the low speed performance isn't that great, but one thing that really surprised me is if I put this throttle up and sort of bring it down a bit, get it to low speed, see if I can get it, makes this clicking noise, and then look, what's going on? Bring it back down, bring it back up. So this scared the absolute crap out of me. Like, I don't think you should be flying anything that does that to the motors. Seems to be only intermittent, but when it does it, yeah. So what I'll do is, the one way to test your ESCs basically is just by the response time. So if you just chuck the throttle up and down, see how quickly it reacts. It's really slow. It doesn't even get to, you know, quarter throttle or quarter speed on the motor. So to get to full speed, you've got to go. And you hear how long that takes to spool up? That's definitely not what you want on a multi-rotor, because this little control board here is trying to send out updates as quickly as it can to the motors to keep it level. If your motors are too slow to respond, this control board's saying, you know, quick, turn this motor up, and this ESC's like la-di-da-di-da, takes its time and then finally speeds it up. By that time your quadcopter's already upside down, so definitely not what you want. So what I'll do now is I'll disconnect this ESC, and I'll swap over to this one. Into throttle, see it's just into the throttle input. Plug this into our battery. Make sure it's not going to short out on anything. Alright. And you'll also notice a different startup time too, so that's one way of knowing if your ESCs are flashed correctly. Alternatively, if you put the wrong firmware or something on them, they'll just blow up when you connect them to the battery. So do make sure you get the right firmware. I'll link in a little tutorial I followed for flashing with an Arduino, so it might be helpful to people if you don't have like a you know, proper flashing tool, I guess you call it. Alright, so this one, move this over here a bit. Adjust this down. Alright, so this is the Simon K. Get this in here at the same time. There we go. So this is the Simon K motor in ESC, and as you can see, sounds a lot more responsive already. And what you'll notice is when I do the full throttle test, look how quickly it ramps up. Like even the quickest I can do that, it still gets to at least half speed. Whereas that other one, if I did it that quick, it'd barely even spin at all. So, and once I go to full throttle, hear how quickly that goes up. Of course, there is going to be a bit of lag between the transmitter and the receiver, which you can hear there. So, but the motor itself is really responsive. So if you go back and compare that to the other motor with the stock ESC, you'll definitely see the difference. So I'm going to keep working on this. I've got to flash all the other ESCs and we'll see how it goes.